Well, Newzroom Afrika's Zikhona Tshona attended that briefing, and she joins us live this afternoon. Zikhona, there's a lot to take from the briefing by the IEC. There's a number of dates insofar as, the nomination of candidates is concerned. There's amounts of monies that now need to be paid. But perhaps the most important thing going forward as well for the IEC will be education around these 3 ballot papers that especially new voters are going to be faced with when they enter the voting booth.
So the IEC holds this press briefing at the back of the proclamation of the election day, that is the 29th of May, as you've mentioned, Michelle. Of course, the IEC does say it will be prioritizing voter education going forward. As you've mentioned, there will be 3 ballot papers that voters will be met with when they do go to the polls on the 29th of May. It's saying it is employing and recruiting people to go out there and inform people about what they need to know when it comes to participating in the election. So the briefing was largely about these dates and the deadlines for political parties as well as voters. So when political parties, for example, need to submit their candidates, what they need to do to ensure they're compliant and eligible to be on that voters' roll. And also for the voters, when it is that you need to ensure that you do apply for a special vote, for example, or a home vote for the elderly or anyone that won't be able to go out and vote on election day on the 29th of May in those more than 23,000 voting stations that the IEC says will be set up to ensure the smooth running of the election. So, as you mentioned, the elderly in particular, for those home votes, they will need to know what it is that they need to do. So the IEC is saying there are currently people that are going out on the ground educating people about the elections, but also they're continuing to recruit and train people so that we do have a lot more feet on the ground, in particular to educate people about the voting process.
So the 29th of May, for those who will not be at their voting districts, their votes will take place. These are the home visits and the voting station special votes. Those will take place on the 2 days preceding the official election date, right?
Certainly, and also, that is correct, Michelle, and also people that will be voting outside of the country also need to make sure that they know what to do when it comes to ensuring that they apply to vote out of the country. They'll also be voting prior to the 29th of May. So special votes will be set aside for 2 days, and that includes people who won't be able to go out and be physically voting at a polling station, a voting station rather, and people who will need a voting agent to come to their home to ensure that they are counted when it comes to them participating in the elections on the 29th of May. So people will be able to go to their municipal offices. That's where the IEC's offices are based, where they will be able to then apply for a special vote or an international vote. They'll be able to also go to the IEC's website. All those details are planned out there. The timetables thoroughly planned out there with the specific dates when you need to start applying. I know international voters can start applying as of today. The deadline is clearly lined out there on the timetable that is on the IEC's website, but people are welcome to go to their municipal offices and find agents from the IEC who will be able to give them information directly with regards to the application process and what it is that they need to know prior to them participating in the voting on the 29th of May this year.
I've got the statement from the IEC's presser, Zikhona. Even in the statement it says this is a landmark election marking 30 years of electoral democracy. Also, as you and I have just been discussing, introduces novel experiences for voters, such as that 3rd ballot for national and provincial elections. And of course, let's not forget the participation of independent candidates for the first time as well. Did the IEC say anything about the release of the results, Zikhona? I know when I spoke to the Deputy Chief Electoral Officer on the show last week, usually the IEC has sort of stuck to that 3-day limit. It takes them 3 days usually to announce election results. Was that the same kind of sentiment, that the 3 days would be adhered to in as much as the IEC can promise that? And of course, taking into account that the law does give the IEC 7 days in which to release the results.
Certainly, the IEC does seem to be confident that it is ready for the elections and also to release those results as soon as it can. That 3-day deadline that they've usually kept for themselves seems to be what they're sticking to right now. They are hoping that everything in the lead up to the actual election day will go smoothly. We know that people, political parties, for example, can object to anything until the 29th of May. If they wanted to take something to the court, they are more than welcome to do so. But the IEC is quite confident that it has been engaging with several political parties. We know that several NGOs, at least 150 of them, have also joined hands with the IEC in ensuring that these elections do go smoothly. The IEC is saying majority of the political parties that will be represented on the ballot paper on the 29th of May were actually engaging with them last week Friday when the election date was proclaimed. So they're saying they are quite confident that they've been working with political parties, and it's in everyone's interest that everything goes smoothly to ensure that South Africans see fair elections, that South Africans feel represented in the election. As you've mentioned, it is a landmark historical election. 30 years of democracy South Africa is marking this year, so they are hoping that people will keep that sentiment and go out and participate in the election. It's good enough that we have more than 27 million people who have registered to vote, but now the task is to ensure that people do actually go out and participate in the election. The IEC is saying it's confident that it's gotten the word out there of the elections, it's gotten the word out there of the election date, and getting people registered, it did the work. So now the task is voter education. The task is to ensure that come the 29th of May, people go out and vote, but also there are no hindrances to the election process, and then hopefully they'll be able to release those results, and people will feel that those are free and fair, given the participation not only of political parties but also party agents and NGOs that have come out to say they want to guard the election so that people can have confidence in the election process and feel that when the results are released, it is a true reflection of the voters of this country.